Hello again. This is the Waterman, Spiritual Toolbox number 144, the Love Chapter number 120, audio recording number 462, and examination table number 124. We're continuing in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 12. Okay, I'll start out reading it from the King James Version. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know, even as also I am known. Okay, now we're all the way down into, I don't know. Okay, I was itching. Let's see, we're all the way down into, where it says face to face. Okay, and see, I left off in that press upon 4383 that they translate as face. It's PROSOPON.
Strong's G 4383. Prosopon. Prosopon.
Prosopon. Okay. Now, that prosopon is a neuter noun, a neutral noun. It's from 4314 and the visage from 3700. And remember that visage is like voluntarily 3700. The vision is the vision of 3700, and 3708 is under that. And what that is just when you can voluntarily seeing God, when you in the eye of the storm, is agreeing with God. You're understanding, you're seeing, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. All this darkness is agreeing with God. Agreeing with God. You're doing a 180-degree about face, repentance, change the way you think, and turning back to God in hot pursuit. And then you get this, like 3708, this, what word is that again? Heck, just a second. Okay. The first one, autonomy, and then 3708, it's an alternative of that. It's HORAO, this word, right?
Strong's G 3708.
Horao. That's when you experience that increase, a little bit of the increase from your agreeing into God, and He gets the increase. In other words, He's making His appearance in you a little bit. He's purifying that marble of your thinking process just a little bit, because He's chopped out a little bit, or He's skimmed off a little bit of that He's heated up and melted and brought to the surface. And then He's skimming it off because you voluntarily agreed in hot pursuit. You're pursuing Him, diligently. God's rewarded those who pursue Him in hot pursuit, who diligently seek Him, right? Now, so He's giving a little bit of His increase. He's making a little bit of an appearance. His righteousness is coming alive in you, just a little bit at a time, a little bit by little bit by little bit. He's not dumping all of it in your mind. You're like, can't take that. Not all at once. You got to build it, just like those little strings of rope. He's putting little bits by little bit by little bit, twisting it into stronger rope. Okay, God is fire. So He's not just all of a sudden just shock you from to death. Nah. But see, He's your protection, your strong tower. Okay. He's your rock. You don't have anything to worry about. He's your exceeding great reward. So whenever you see it, you voluntarily agree and go in hot pursuit of him. He's giving that little bit of increase. Then you're like, oh wow, you're staring like slack jawed, like eyes wide, eyes wide open. Whoa! Your understanding is increased. You're increased back into the little bit by little bit back into the right mindedness of God. He's making his appearance in you, in your mind. And you're like, oh, it's beyond your wildest dreams. And it just keeps increasing because it's more, more, and more. It grows. The more that you know, the more that you know that you don't really know. That's like, oh, this is awesome. This is satisfying. And it keeps growing and growing and growing inside you. And you get stronger, stronger, stronger in the spirit inside. So all this stuff, it just becomes, it grows strangely dim in the light of God. That's in your mind and inside of you. In your thinking process. This is where God's doing it, where he's making his appearance back in the overcoming clouds. Not outside, external. Okay? He does everybody in their own order, their own level, wherever God's got them. God brings them back to where he wants them. He puts them in the body, in his love beyond words, where he sees fit. He's growing those seeds back into maturity, back into big plants, if you will, in your garden of a mind. Okay, put it a little bit metaphorically and to open it up so it's a little bit more obtainable to understanding. Because your carnal mind is just directly opposed. It's enmity with God. God's wanting you to agree wholeheartedly, and then bam, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow, wow. Every time you're doing that and going, oh wow, 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 it's growing, increasing. You're getting like hotter inside. You're thinking. You're growing more into the image of God, to the exact representation. All the way to that marble of your thinking. Each one of those marbles gets so hot, so fast. Right? Right in the eye, going through that big wave thing where it's actually, it might even be like a spring, but it's the appearance of like a wave, like the electromagnetic wave, up and down and stuff, good and evil. God's bringing you, condensing that down and putting all that wasted energy, okay, spiritual thinking processes, your energy, your efforts, right back down into him. It's like your ability to concentrate and to think all this good evil stuff is being condensed and pressed down to being focused in the love of God. That's beyond words. It's just like I said, God, what's the greatest commandment? Love the Lord thy God with basically everything you got, and love your neighbor, your fellow human being, as yourself. Is that not? He's condensing it. Love, love, love. Beyond words. That's not mushy love. That's the all in all love. It's everything you need. That's the fire of God. Burns up all this carnal bullshit thinking. Can't exist in that. That fertilizer is like used up, transformed. That wooden humanistic thinking process is gone. See, it's a little bit, God's chopping it out a little bit at a time. You got a whole bunch of that manure in your mind. It's a whole lot of work. But God's burden is easy. I mean, for us to take on, because God just does it. But we got to pursue it in hot pursuit. Agree. And these little correction processes, this relationship builder, these storms of our life. So in these eyes of the storm, when things are really tough, and then all of a sudden it just gets still, and there's a little moment, like the twinkling of an eye. We gotta make a decision. Agree with God, agree back into God in hot pursuit, or disagree. If we agree, God gives us increase. And our spiritual seeing, taste, touch, and smell is opened up. Slack jaw, gazing out. Whoa, this is great. That's how like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, it's just like party time, really, in that fiery furnace. And there's 4 in there, not just those 3. See, but that's speaking of those ages. Speaking of a whole bunch of things. If you just get your spiritual seeing, hearing, taste, touch, and smell open, you see more and more and more. You understand more and more about God. I know that's fathomless. The more that you know, the more that you know that you don't know. But the greater that glory is. And that glory, that gospel, that good news, that God is reconciling. God's reconciling. He's vindicating, not vengeance. All right, so it's vengeance is mine, says the Lord. It's vindication. God's vindicating. He's like proving to us inside as we agree. Wow, you're great, Father, and I'm coming right back into that. Same way I think. Same way ability to love as you loved us, as you first loved us. And I can love others that way too. Not love that poop that you're in, but love that, know that your seed, or at whatever level, is in there. Wow, that's awesome. You're reconciling us. This is for us, not to us. Each person. Okay? Whether they accept that, that's up to God, and whether they can, they have the ability. It's if God permits, if God opens it up to them. It's not my call. Okay? Lead you to the water, can't make you drink. Doesn't mean I don't love you. Okay? No. That's a little bit on this face, the presence, the mind. Taking off your old mind, your old stinking thinking, bringing out of manure, bringing it back into His right-mindedness. Now, there's 2, that word, prosopon, comes from 2 words. Let me get back here. Prosopon comes from 2 words. I just went over that one, that 3700, the autonomy, right? I've been over that before. God keeps showing me more and more, okay? And opening up deeper and deeper. More you know, the more that you know that you don't know. And see, it's just like you voluntarily agree in hot pursuit. God opens it up. He gives the increase, slack jaw. You're gazing down. Right, how does it put it here? It's to behold, be totally amazed, you know. There's different ways they put that. You know, He's making His appearance in your mind as you're overcoming these things, these obstacles, these calamities, these tribulations, these fiery trials. And He's increasing, He's purifying that marble of your thinking process. Remember, shall we cut or chop this part of the board? Whack! Yes, sir, Daddy. Yes, whack! Throw it in the garbage, burn it up, and it transforms it, always in an upper manner, into His right-mindedness. Wow. This is great. Okay? And it turns it, spins it. Another fire. Shall we crouch up this one? And then it does it a whole many times, and then it's refine that old, real hardened down, follow around that stinky, real hard rubberized concrete poop down inside you, right? He's bringing that, boiling that up to the top at different temperatures, see impurities when they refine gold. Boil each different metal boils out at certain temperatures. So God raises the temperature. Like he's raising that. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego 5 times as high. He's raising it up to where it's going to eventually get all of it. But you got to keep it on, habitually practicing. Whenever it boils up to the top and that old stuff is coming out, man, you're in there. Oh, you're just, man, it's rough. But see, whenever you turn to God, repent, change the way, I'm not relying upon that old rubberized concrete. I thought it was good, or thought it was bad, and I thought I had right, or whatever. Your righteousness, your right thinking is bullcrap. Get rid of it. Abandon it. Turn your back on it. Start shooting your arrows, your efforts back towards God voluntarily. God's helping you out here, giving you a little bit of like a nudging, heating it up to a certain temperature to where that thing that you thought, I'll never let go of that, I'll never change the way I think about that. It's wrong. Here, let me help you out, child. God's saying this to you. Now, you can either agree with me, coming back to me, turn from that stuff, and agree in hot pursuit, and I'll give the increase. Then you're like, behold, God's making his appearance in you. He's vindicating you of this. He's taking this off. He's working to justify that you're innocent. Man, come back to me. Come back home. You don't want to stand at that pig pen eating that hog slop like the prodigal son. Come back to me. I'll kill the fatted calf. You're looking at, wow, man, look at that meal there. It's party time. Right? You're flabbergasted. Oh, my goodness. That's a start. From like, first time you do it, it's 1. To the first 0 power, 1. Do it again. You agree again. Oh, chop it again. To the first, that's 2. And double again. 4, 8, 16. Boom, that thing's being chopped out and refined. It's burning that crap up, that poop thinking in you up. And you're returning back to God. He's making his appearance in that marble of your thinking process, little by little bit by little bit. It's in that secret place inside of you. And that influence inside of you, that grace, that divine influence, God's influence inside your heart, your mind, your thinking process. He's circumcising the foreskin of your heart, that fleshly thinking. He's cutting it, laying it on each side. That garbage, that fleshly thinking. And then you're walking, existing right back in him as you keep agreeing. Right? Don't stop believing. And he's increasing you back into him. As you're overcoming. Wow, he's opening this up. So in this prosopon, this face, this mind, this appearance of God inside you, he's vindicating you. He's reconciling you. God is. You just have to agree. It's the Father who's doing it gently. He's not doing like those little schoolboy leaders that's barely more than a baby themselves. They can barely speak at all. But they're not really speaking. It's the Spirit. They're taking a big thing and beating the law into you. Put you in the bad corner. I mean, all kinds of nasty stuff. Like pharisaical, religious separatists. They're trying to beat you in the corner, look down her long, sturdy nose at you, Bertha and Buford better than you, and all kinds of just yuck thinking. It's immature. It's not the father. They're very stern, strict. They're like little monsters, telling you all kinds of stuff. It's just not true. Threatening you and all kinds. Now that's the way to do it. God's bringing you back gentler. Here, let me heat that up some more for you. Help you get rid of that old hardened down stuff you thought you believed in. That's not right. Here, let me show you. Storms of life, tribulation, calamity, because this all natural fleshly stuff's not really what it's about anyways. Alright? If you lived about 150 years in this earth suit on this planet, and then all of a sudden, once you die, that's just a little bit blip in the grand scheme of things. How much was you purified in here? How much fruit of the Spirit? How much of God did you actually grow back into maturity? How far along? How much did you agree with God's righteousness? That God is love beyond words. He's not a monster. In the end, whatever state you're at, you're going to be like, oh, wow. This is awesome. It's not he's condemning you, tormenting you. He's a serial killer. That's a serial killer of all serial killers. No, he's the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. God is the greatest. God is your exceeding great reward. He's bringing you back. He's reconciling you. Just agree with him. There's not many that's going to be able to agree very much. Everybody's got to come back to, he places it. He gives the ability to do that. Like there's something, I just can't get over this. This is really, I love this. I've been in this state for I believe this all my life. Oh yeah, let me help you. Burn and melt that off. Comes to the top. And then you gotta agree right now, eye of the storm. Agree in hot pursuit of God. Turn your back on that crap. Man, that stuff wasn't no good. That's that chain stuff, man, that's tainted gold. That plaque on me, I thought it was, oh my goodness, that's the worst stuff on me. That's messing me up. You can't do it yourself. But when God gives that ability, just heat it up and melt it up, and God sets the skimmer up there. He's like putting his hand with you. And when you do as hard as you can in hot pursuit, God gives the increase. Break that off. Break those chains that's in your mind. Throw that in the garbage. It's like chopping out a little bit of that garbage thinking. Or skimming off some of that really hardened down stuff. Throw it in there. Then you're set free. A little bit more free. A little bit more free. That's purifying them. Oh my goodness. Can you see it? No, in this word, prosopon. And that's that kind of there's two words, right? Let's see here real quick what these are. Trying to break this down. It's 4314 and 3700, okay? 3700 is that prosopon. So you're voluntarily seeing it. And then the alternative of the other one, whenever all of a sudden 3708, this that 8 one starts with the 8. the one where it's like, wow, you're amazed, behold, oh wow, God, your increase, you're just awesome. Your understanding, your seeing, hearing, taste, touch, and smell becomes enlightened a little bit. God's making his appearance in you. He's revealing himself to you a little bit more. His greatness, his love, his exceeding reward. Oh, wow, this is awesome. party time, in the midst of any kind of lion's den, in the midst of any kind of mocking you because you're doing what God says. You're building an ark. In any kind of storm, your ship, your wooden humanity, we're gonna die. And then kind of that. In the face of any kind of fear, it's false evidence appearing real. It's not real. God is protecting you. Got to trust in the Lord with all your heart. All those thought processes. And lean not upon your own understanding of this bullcrap. Of it's good and bad. That's got to go away. God's pressing that down and using that. That's like taking and transforming that energy, that spirit, and that right back down. Like a big tube of toothpaste. Like it's this big spring and it looks like a sine wave. And he's pressing it right down into his, so it's getting, hitting right down into his will. His love beyond words, his righteousness. It's taking out of your righteousness, your good and evil, bullcrap thinking, right down, pushing it right down from this like radio wave all the way through that little bitty visible light spectrum. It's all the carnal mind can even think. It's like a dummy. It's that dumbass nature, dumb donkey nature. Hee-haw, don't believe that bullcrap. That's like one little bitty hair, and then blow that hair up to the size of a universe. 93 billion light years. And a light year is 6.2 trillion miles, approximately. Holy crap. That's totally beyond your understanding. I'm just trying to bring it. He's blowing that little hair, what you could think, down to all the way up to this size. And he's looking back down there at this. God's working all the way down in there. And that's those little seeds he's put in your poopy garden, that manure. And you're going to transform it. God's reuniting it back into his. Increasingly hot, organic through my passion and desire to return you back to him, to reconcile you back to him, to vindicate, to render you innocent. Back to him, to unite, not to do like this carnal natural world's doing, dark matter, concealing it, hiding it so you can't see or taste, touch, or smell it, or dark energy pushing one little seed of truth of God away from another seed, like in the galaxy, one galaxy, you're pushing it exceedingly fast away from another galaxy. So that's increasing. That's in the really large stuff, and just all the way down to the tiniest stuff. Same type thing, but it's all chaos to this carnal mind. You don't know what the heck's going on. See, because it's enmity with God's ways. God's ways, it's bringing it back, unifying it to God. Carnal mind knows nothing of God. It's death. It's separation from God. To be carnal minded is death. To be spiritually minded is life and peace. The fullness of life in God. That Zoe life. Peace, calmness from this up and down stuff. The big springs out here, like a pushing it down, so it's not even looking. So you look at the sine wave, it's just like this. Really, though, it's like a spring. It's in depth, but it looks like this. And it's getting closer, pressing it right down into God, like right down into the pipeline of God, pipeline of God's love. He's unifying, he's reconciling, he's vindicating you and me and all of us. The whole time, all we gotta do is agree. The Father's love is gentle. Here, let me help you out. Let me scorch your butt. Scorch your thinking a little bit. We think, whoa, that's me. Pain, grief, suffering. But that's a little bitty thing. There's a little bit of negative electronic experiences. Remember, it's like one And then that proton is like, it's 1,836, maybe 37 times. It's like taking a whole bunch of those and compressing them like quarks. The things that protons, neutrons are made up of, pressing them all the way down into putting all those negative electron experiences that you agreed back into God. And receive that, oh wow, this is awesome. It's back into God, and there's like all those been transformed, and all that's been put in there. It's like pressing that gas together until finally, God's bringing you, purifying that, all that right back to you, to Himself. Oh my goodness, it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. The more that you know, the more that you know that you don't know. It's just the more of God you want. Okay? Wow. Okay? Now, that's at 3,700. I'm about to run out of time. The other one is 4314 that prosopon comes from. It's that pros, P-R-O-S. And it is meaning basically, in short, God's love is superior to. It's from the beginning. It's prior. It's before that all righteousness of ours. God's righteousness is superior to our righteousness. It's before. You add those two together. All that's that prosopon in the mind of God. Okay? I had to put that in there in this word. Okay? Now this has been Spiritual Toolbox number 144. Okay? Bye. I'll continue.